I have a big problem. And it's actually not him.
For some reason, I decided to make the first video of the year all about a creator who loves to film in the sun outdoors. And here where I live, it's rainy and gloomy for the next 14 days. So I thought that instead of making a video exactly like this creator, I would just show you how to edit like them instead. And that's great because there's so much more to them than just bright, happy cinematic filming. Life of Riza is a creator who's blown up over the last year, and in just about 2 years has gone from 10,000 subscribers to almost 1 million. And like all creators who find themselves this popular, there's absolutely a reason behind it. There's lots of things that she does, but I'm gonna give you a few key things to latch onto so that you can start to steal her style. You don't have to spend a lot of time watching one of her videos to see that her cinematography is fantastic. Her use of color, her lighting, the way she adds depth to her shots. But there's one simple thing that slips under the radar that adds a nostalgic feeling to all of her videos, and it's called halation. And there's actually a trick she's using to get this effect. It's called a Pro Mist filter, and I know that she's using one because she's listed it on the gear that she uses. What this filter does is it takes a source of light and gives it a soft blooming that wraps around other parts of the frame. It's reminiscent of older vintage lenses, and on top of making it feel cinematic, it lends itself to her nostalgic, dreamlike vibe. But there's a problem. I don't own one. So how do I add that same nostalgic feeling in my shots? Well, if you hadn't noticed, I already added it. And that's because I did it in editing. And if you have a program like Premiere Pro, you can do it too by doing the following. Start by taking your footage and duplicating it on top of itself. Then, search for the Luma key effect and place it on the top clip. Leave the threshold between 90 to 100%, and I like the cutoff at about 50. Then when you add a Gaussian blur to this top layer as well and set it to about 250, you're gonna see that it softens up the image a little bit, but it does it specifically around the highlights of your image. If you disable the bottom clip, you can kind of see what's happening. And if you wanted to take it up a little bit, you can add a second Gaussian blur effect and set the blur dimensions to horizontal, and then the blurriness to something like 10, 20, or even 30. Then finally, bring down the opacity of the top layer to reduce the intensity of the overall effect, making it a little bit more subtle and professional. Sadly, this is the best option in Premiere Pro since they recently removed the channel blur effect, but if you wanted a little bit more of a high quality effect, we have this preset here that I've been using in this video. But you can probably already guess, just adding something like halation to your shots doesn't automatically capture her style. There's a much bigger piece to the puzzle. I don't think I found a single video of Kariza's where she isn't moving forward, building something, cleaning something, baking something, creating something. On the surface, you might say, yeah, that's just more interesting to do something rather than just sitting in front of a camera talking for 8 straight minutes. And while that's true, there's also a more important reason. When you have progression, you have flow and movement, and you're not just sitting with the things that she said, you're actually joining her on a journey. And while that requires a lot of preparation and planning ahead of time, there are some things that you can do in editing to help achieve this effect, and one of them is a simple editing trick. She's used this effect before where things are changing in a scene and the camera is moving forward, while this progress is jumping from one shot to the next. This mimics the idea of a time-lapse being captured by a motion slider, combining this feeling of high-quality cinematography with progression and moving forwards. But instead of using an expensive rig, in editing you can just take a static image of something that's happening, like the previous shot that I had where the puzzle was being done. Make your jump cuts to show the progression forwards, and then nest your clips together into a single new nested sequence. Then keyframe the nested sequence to start at 100% scale and move up to something like 105%. Then you have a subtle little push forwards while your scene is happening, mimicking the look of an expensive motion control rig. Okay, so looking good so far. We got good cinematography with a sense of nostalgia, a sense of progression with things that are actually being completed, but those are just 2 ingredients so far. We need to look for the special sauce. What we're looking for is... the secret to what most quickly makes a Life of Riza video feel like a Life of Riza video is the way that she seamlessly transitions between scenes.
The transition from the fridge to the supermarket was something I copied directly from one of her videos, shot for shot. And the reason that it works is because you're connecting these two shots together based on context. Looking in your fridge, then going to the place where you get the things to put in your fridge.
The context was the transition itself, but this isn't the only method. She's hidden these secret transitions all throughout her videos, most notably by using an object,
moving from one scene to another. This can be a drink being scanned at a checkout and then being drank in the next shot, or a leash being placed on a table, indicating that we just came from the walk in the previous shot.
But the best part is that this is really easy to add and gives your sequences way more flow.
Let's say that all I had was a shot of walking my dog and then appearing on camera in the next shot. All I have to do is quickly film a leash being placed down and then insert it in between that same sequence of shots, and it feels so much smoother and more professional. And the best part is that it doesn't even need to be in that scene with you. Placing it down anywhere, being done with it, and then walking away acts as a way to tell the audience that the previous scene was over and the next scene is starting. But the real reason why this transition is so important is because it allows Riza to create progression and flow and interesting engagement in a video while keeping the pace and the speed of everything really, really slow. So slow that it's not even uncommon for her to go the first 30 seconds of a video without saying a single word.
And the average shot length in each of her videos is crazy long, especially when you compare it to other YouTubers.
For example, I've taken a reference video from both Riza and another YouTuber who we've talked about, Gawk's Art. These two videos are roughly the same length, but if I use Premiere Pro's scene edit detection to show how many cuts appear in these videos, Gawk's average shot length is about 1.8 seconds for every cut, while Kariza's is a whopping 2.8 seconds.
That's insane, because they're both incredibly popular. They're both crazy talented filmmakers, but their approaches are night and day.
In today's world of fast-paced social media, visual hooks grab people's attention within the first 2 seconds, it feels like slow-paced videos with long shots shouldn't do well. But Kariza is proof that they can, and they do. And it's not because they're long or because they're short that they do well, it's because everything about the video is cohesive. It doesn't feel like a video that wants to be fast, but it's forced to be slow. It feels like a video that knows exactly how fast it's supposed to be and enjoys every minute of it. But in order to do that, it needs to be built from a starting foundation.
And according to Kariza, one of the first things that she might actually do for a video is choose the music.
Sometimes I'll even have a song chosen already for a certain scene, just so I know what kind of vibe I'm going for that video.
By starting with your music, you make sure that everything that you're planning, filming, and editing is in the context of how the music already feels.
Music acts as the foundation of every video because it's the fastest and easiest way to guide the audience's emotions to feel the way that you want them to feel. And so it's no surprise then that when I search for the things that people say about Kariza's videos, I end up finding music that feels like it meshes with her style. Nostalgic, dreamy, chill, and if you wanted more technical terms, acoustic and folk. These all give really good results to her style.
In the end, it's a completely natural thing to see an amazingly talented filmmaker with a skill set that just blows your mind and to want to try to make your videos look and feel like theirs do. But even after all of these tips, you're still not going to end up with a Life of Riza video. And the reason is because you're not her. I'm not her. None of us are, except her. So my suggestion is, try to steal her style, because I don't actually think you'll ever be able to.
But what you'll end up with is a deeper appreciation for her talent and creativity, while at the same time figuring out what feels like works for you.
And if you wanted a starting point, I've left a link to all of the assets that I've used to try and help my videos look and feel a little bit more like hers.
Halation presets, sound effects, music.
And if you wanted to learn how to emulate the style of other YouTube geniuses like Riza, you can check out this video right here. I'll see you over there.